National shutdown began on Wednesday with its key organizer behind bars. This second stay away was not as successful as the first. The city centre was subdued, but most businesses opened and the public by and large reported for work.
We are being harassed by the police at their roadblocks, but we can't stay away. We have to work. If we don't eat.
Outside the magistrate's court, hundreds of this flag supporters gathered. Members of the public, civil society, business, the church, as well as more than a dozen lawyers who wanted to represent Mawarire.
His arrest is a blatant abuse of the criminal justice system, and we are here to vocalize that position and to show our support in more ways than one. We are not going to just sit down, be in the offices and pretend everything is okay. There is nothing okay about a person being arrested in blatant breach of his constitutional right. He has got a constitutional right to protest. It is enshrined in the Constitution. Peaceful protest is not a crime.
Prayers were held outside the court every half hour, but no one saw Ivan Mawarire as he was whisked into the complex through a back entrance. He emerged in court hours later. Riot police were called in to decongest the courtroom. Mawarire is facing a new charge of trying to overthrow the government unconstitutionally by inciting civil disobedience. The state claims his calls for a national stay-away led to violent protests against police and businesses last week. The maximum penalty for the crime is 20 years in jail with no option for a fine. The defense argued that the new charge was unlawful as the accused had not been given the chance to formally respond. Mawarire has maintained his innocence. He says his online messages called for peaceful protests against the introduction of a local currency, as well as import restrictions on basic goods and corruption. He says his criticism of corruption are within his constitutional rights. Meanwhile, his arrest was trending on social media in Zimbabwe and South Africa. Zimbabweans held protests in the United Kingdom in support of the pastor.
We kindly request you to exercise highest degree of patience. As we speak right now, argument is continuing.
As a restless crowd, draped in their own individual flags, waited underneath the national flag hanging outside the courts. Shinganyoka, SABC News, Harare, Zimbabwe.